Hey, how's it going everyone? It's your boy Wags here, and once again we are back with another episode of Shadows of Doubt, where in every new video I'll be investigating a new murder in a new city. So remember, if you want to drop me a city name or a scene you like down below in the comments, I might just end up checking it out in a future video. But real quick, before we get started, I just opened my official Discord server, so for all you loyal watchers and subscribers out there, feel free to click that link in the description and be the first ones to begin helping me build an awesome community on there. Not only will I be on there all the time so you can chat with me personally, but there's also channels specifically for the content I make, so you can bond with someone over Shadows of Doubt, find a few teammates for Deceiving, or honestly, just come hang out and chat with us. Alright, I know. Enough talking. On to the game. This video's city was recommended to us by Micromyth. It's called Samantha's Fold. I'm also playing with a mod that lets you customize your city's layout and density settings. And if you want to learn how to mess with mods in Shadows of Doubt too, don't worry, I have a video for that coming as well. And with all that said, let's jump into our new city. Well, if I was being honest, Samantha's Fold was probably the calmest city I've ever been to. For a detective to show up to a city and have to wait hours just for a murder to happen, well, I mean that's just criminal. And between you and me, I was starting to go nuts. I guess a lack of crime solving leads to a thirst for crime making. I had only been there a few hours, but I was racking up thousands in damage costs. Unfortunately, I hadn't stirred up enough trouble to land myself in the paper, but neither had a murderer for that fact, so maybe this city was just immune to crime. I didn't allow myself to get too comfortable though, because just when you start to let your guard down. Ross Street. It isn't often people are murdered right in the public eye. I was a bit surprised I wasn't on my way to a random apartment building. Tucked away just outside City Hall, our victim lay dead on the ground with a rather evil symbol we had seen before, but no messages on any nearby walls. They had just been stabbed between 3:30 and 4:40, within the hour. His name was Erasmus Demopoulos. I know, what a mouthful. Despite City Hall being a gracious leap away from the crime scene, it still took enforcers a ridiculously long time to arrive, and by then, I was already in work mode. Surely the vendor standing right next to the body saw something. Okay, never mind. I headed to City Hall and flipped open a city directory, planning to check out our victim's house, but I'm sure you can imagine my surprise when I found 2 E. Demopouloses. I mean really, what were the odds? So I took a random bet on one of them, and what do you know? This man was not Erasmus Demopoulos. He was in fact Endymion Demopoulos, and he was very much still alive. When I finally got to the right apartment, I began my search as usual. Work ID, business card, all the works. But then I came across something interesting, an email. Erasmus, there I said it, again, can't you cut me some slack? Harry. I didn't know who Harry was, but he seemed like a broken man capable of doing some slicing and dicing. So I printed out the email and continued searching for clues. I found this Harry in the address book and made note of their apartment number to visit later, and just like that, I disappeared once again into the night to continue this mystery. Halfway across the city, I began making my way to 501 McCarthy Grove. I wasn't sure what to expect just yet, so instead of obnoxiously busting in like I'm prone to doing, I made sure to cover my tracks this time. As I snuck into Harry's dark and oddly designed apartment, I checked the bedrooms first to conclude that no one was there. Scout cameras covered the place, but not a soul to be seen. There wasn't much here to look at. The only way I was going to find any incriminating evidence here was if I planted it, and I was all out. The only upside to visiting Harry's was I logged onto his computer and ended up walking out with a solid idea on what he looked like. And with this, maybe I could figure his whereabouts from people in town. Everyone just had the same answer though. They either directed me to his workplace or his apartment. No recent sightings at all. I even stopped by the office, but the only worker there was a woman named Heidi. She confirmed Harry was her coworker, but gave me the same useless directions everyone else did. I was stressed, my brain was hurting, so I paused the investigation and grabbed a bourbon at a nearby bar. With no sticks to play a game of pool, I improvised. With the looming threat of a killer running amok around the city, I quickly got back into the game and made the street cameras my next priority. The first camera, however, left me even more confused and lost as the recording had stopped right around 1 o'clock. There was another camera at the end of the street, but just as I was moments away from unlocking the panel, I ran out of pins. So I did what anyone would do in that situation, and I started breaking into random people's houses, hoping to find some picks or hairpins lying around. Either I just wasn't looking right, or no one carried hairpins in this city either, which means I just broke into more apartments for no reason at all. God, I love being a detective. Feeling defeated, I planned on ordering a burger and a coffee before sitting down to look through more of my files, but something made me stumble behind the fast food counter where I found hundreds of pics just laying about. I hurried back to the street camera and finished what I started. However, it was just as pointless as the last one, considering it also stopped recording at 1 o'clock. I was growing tired. The killer was all over the news, yet I couldn't find them no matter how hard I tried. With the burger and coffee I ordered, I headed back to the restaurant and decided to take a moment's break and catch up on a meal. And I'm glad I did, because the man who served me happened to see Harry earlier in the day. This was my chance. Lead by lead, I followed, until I just plainly realized that Harry was just finally heading home. There he was, Harry Gillard in the flesh, the most impossible man to find. I asked him a couple questions, but he was unwilling to answer any of them. And you know what we do when people don't cooperate. Placed in cuffs, then searched, I didn't find any further evidence leading me to believe he killed Erasmus. And that was a little hard for me to admit, considering Harry had been my one and only suspect this whole time. I was gonna have to live with the fact that I barged in on an innocent man, but I didn't want Harry to have to remember. I was losing it. I was tracking down the wrong people, I was following the wrong leads. I even went back to the crime scene and started knocking on the doors of everyone who lived in the apartment nearby. I was so desperate for any new information. Feeling so lost and confused by this case, I honestly just stumbled into a dirty side room where I could be alone and wait for something new to happen. Because at that moment, I wasn't getting anywhere. Somehow the enforcers made it to this one before me this time, but I had a plan. I snuck past and hid in the supply closet for the time being, since I knew they wouldn't be staying long. Surely enough, they wrapped up their subpar investigation, quickly put up the caution tape, and stepped out, giving me the entire apartment to myself. This was definitely the work of our killer. A vicious stabbing once again, just in the last 2 hours or so. But there was a big difference between this crime scene and the last. We had a murder weapon. The knife used to kill Erasmus, and now this new face. I searched up and down for any files or clues as to who this new victim was, and finally, thanks to some ID, Audition Sar, who worked at Wright's restaurant. Again, there just didn't seem to be any connection between our victims, which left me in the dark even more. I found the password to Audition's computer and decided to check the mail, same as I did for Erasmus. And sure, Audition had a couple emails too from suspicious characters, but I wasn't about to spend another hour on a wild goose chase like I did with Harry. I needed connections, so I started comparing really the only two pieces of evidence I could: address books. And the very first thing that caught my eye was a Reginald on both pages. Now sure, it could have just been a coincidence, but then I noticed they also happened to live in the same building as Audition. They were my new suspect for now, and I had a good feeling about this one. He lived on the other side of the building, so when I was done at the crime scene, I made my way to the basement and up the other flight of stairs. Face to face with his door, something felt odd, wrong, evil. On the inside, Reggie wasn't home, but I didn't need him to be. Everything I saw spoke for itself. Posters with red X's, evil pamphlets, cursed satanic books. It was all a perfect comparison to the cult circles that Erasmus and Audition were killed on. And just when I thought it couldn't get any better, the icing on the cake, another connection. He worked at the same office as Erasmus. I was done. I was ready to make the arrest and file the report. It took me forever to track them down, but when I did, they were just getting home after a day's work. Little did they know, it was payback time. To complete the investigation and wrap it up, I confirmed everything with the prints on the knife belonging to Reginald Cousin. This man was our murderer, and just in the past day, he killed 2 people from Samantha's fold. So before leaving to turn in my files, I went room to room grabbing things to throw at him. To end it all, I filled out the last of my paperwork as always, aced my investigation, and sat out the night with a couple of cold drinks on the roof, looking down at the city once again, feeling proud, distinguished, and like one hell of a detective. Hey everyone, thanks for watching this far and enjoying the videos like you always do. I really don't know how to express my thanks and joy to be able to put out content like this for you all to watch, and the fact that all of you are so supportive at the same time, it's just amazing. I want to reiterate one more time, Discord server just dropped, so why not come say hello. Also, I did add a donate button to the channel. I don't expect anyone to use it, I'm not asking anyone to use it, but for those who wish to, it's there. And the money will go to things that help the channel, like games, equipment, softwares, and whatever else I think could use some improvement. As always, I appreciate you all more than you know. Thank you so much for watching, and please remember that liking, commenting, and subscribing helps me out immensely, and I will see you all on the next one.